guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Real Housewives of Atlanta season 12 review. This review is for episode 15. Let's dive right into this review because so much happened in this episode, especially at the end. So I want to get into that, and I have a lot that I want to say about the whole Mark and Kenya situation. So because Eva is pregnant and she almost went into preterm labor in the last episode, she got put on bed rest by her doctor. And so literally all she's really been eating is ice. I am not pregnant, but I love ice too. I can eat ice all day. So every time she took a bite of that ice, I was just craving a cup for myself. So I thought that was funny, and she's not really going to be able to participate much the remainder of the season just because the doctor does not want her to go into active preterm labor again like she did before. We don't want the baby to come too early. So it's good that she's put on bed rest. Hopefully she follows what the doctor told her, because sometimes when you're a woman who's used to working a lot, you don't like the idea of just sitting around not doing anything. So we'll see if she's able to actually go through with the bed rest. So Cynthia is reading Mike's synopsis for his book, and he ends up walking in on her reading it. She feels the need to read his book now because she met his female friends, and he has pretty much all female friends and only like 2 male friends, which she said in the last episode she doesn't understand because he works in a male-dominated space. He works in sports, so it's odd that he has all female friends and not male friends, although she pretended to be okay with it while she was at his house in front of all his friends. I believe that she does not like that he has all those females around him at all times, especially because they live in different states. Okay, he lives primarily in California, she lives in Atlanta, and they haven't decided where they're going to spend most of their time at. So I think that she's uncomfortable with that. She was letting him know that she feels like, people are going to put more focus on the fact that he talks about his infidelities in his book, which is exactly what people are going to pay attention to, especially the media, because they want to stir up some drama. And she knew that he cheated in his previous relationships. Now it just seems more real to her because the fact that she's engaged and because she heard about it from his female friends. Now she's getting nervous, and I feel like she feels like there's a chance he might cheat on her. Now, she was asking him why he wasn't faithful, and he was telling her that, he felt like he wasn't getting what he needed in the relationship with his other ex-wives that he had, or other relationships that he was in. And he told Cynthia that he gets everything he needs from his relationship with her. But she was saying that she had seen guys be in relationships with women who have gotten everything they needed from the relationship and still cheated anyway. She was saying that she does not cheat. That's not something that she does. That's something that Mike will never have to worry about with her. But he told her that just because she says she wouldn't cheat doesn't mean that she will. And she checked him real quick and let him know that she doesn't do stuff like that. And he told her, he kind of said, oh, okay, so you're perfect. And she told him not to do that because he was trying to make it seem like, she is making it seem like she doesn't ever do anything wrong, which she clearly does. She makes mistakes. She's not perfect at all. She's just saying she does not cheat. And she was telling him that how does she know that he's not going to cheat in the relationship with her? And he told her that if he cheats in this relationship, that it will be on him. It'll be his fault what ends up happening between the two of them, which means that he cannot guarantee her that he's not going to cheat on her. And I don't think that she likes that. I don't think that she feels comfortable. But because she's really desperate to be married, she's going to marry him anyway. And she suggests that she wants to go to counseling with him because she feels like they don't know how to argue with each other. Or I think she meant they don't know how to effectively communicate that well with understanding what the other person's trying to say. And so she wants to go to counseling, which he's not opposed to. He said that he would definitely do it. But they were getting into a bit of a heated argument. And his daughter comes storming down the stairs, didn't even look towards them, just stormed right out of the house because she's still mad at her dad about the things she heard him say in the previous episode. So basically, Kandi and Kenya decided to throw this little event where they play kickball and separate into 2 different teams. And Kandi is sitting there getting a bunch of text messages from the girls. Some of the girls were saying that they weren't going to be able to come or that they weren't going to be able to play. And when I say some of the girls, I believe Tanya is not going and Nene is definitely not going to go because she thought that, it was Kenya's event, even though it was both of their events. And so, obviously Nene is not going to go because she's not getting along with Kenya. And also Kenya came to her little brunch that she had in the last episode and she didn't stay. She literally stayed for like 5 to 7 minutes and she left. Nene was late to her own brunch, so she could like understand why people are not going to want to sit and wait. But Kenya definitely left just to be petty, and I think it was a good thing that Kenya left that event when she did, because I feel like it would have gotten ugly really quickly had she would have stayed. So Nene was telling Greg that she didn't really like the way that her brunch turned out because, one, it was weird because some of the ladies were not there. Cynthia and Eva did end up showing up to her brunch, but they had to leave very early before Nene even got there because Eva went into labor. She was having contractions, and because Cynthia was the one who drove Eva there, Cynthia felt like it was important for her to drive Eva to the hospital, so the two of them weren't there. And then Kenya came, okay, and she did not stay. She came for 5 to 7 minutes and left before Nene or any of the other girls really showed up. And, she thought that that was weird. She also thought that it was annoying that, people were saying that Portia wasn't going to show up. But then Portia did end up showing up, so she feels like, her and Portia can make progress in their relationship. I feel like the two of them can make progress in their relationship and even be cool with each other for a few years, but I think that they'll fall out again just because they've fallen out multiple times before. So I honestly think that history is going to keep repeating itself when it comes to the two of them. Now, Greg was saying that him and Mark have been texting back and forth with each other because Mark is doing an event. It's a charity event to mentor young Black boys, and he wants Greg to be a part of that. And, Nene feels some type of way about it. She doesn't have a problem with Mark, but obviously her and Kenya don't get along. And, Nene wasn't invited to the event because Kenya had posted the flyer for Mark's charity event, and she tagged all the other cast members from the show, including Greg, but she did not tag Nene in it. And Nene felt like it was shady of her to do that because why would you invite her husband but not invite her? She felt like if it was the other way around and she had invited Mark and not invited Kenya to something, Kenya would feel some type of way about it, which I do agree with Nene when it comes to that. I think it's odd for her to invite, Nene's husband but not invite her, and she had to be crazy to think that Greg was going to go without Nene. But Greg was saying that he wants the two of them to take the high road in the situation with Kenya, and so, Nene agrees, but I don't think that's going to go anywhere with the two of them. And, Nene kept bringing up, the fact that Kenya only stayed at her event for 7 minutes. She felt like it was odd that Kenya did that, but that's just up Kenya's alley to do something like that, so she should never be surprised at anything that Kenya does. So it's the day of Kandi and Kenya's kickball event, and the two of them end up showing up first to make sure that everything's set up properly, and then Cynthia and Portia end up coming next. Now, Eva does end up showing up, but she brings a friend, Barbie, with her because she cannot play because she's not supposed to be on bed rest. Her doctor ended up giving her the green light to go to the kickball game as long as she didn't participate in any strenuous activity, so she can't actually play the game. Now, they end up learning the rules of the game because they thought that they just had to tag a person, but no, when you play kickball, you have to either hit them with the ball in order to get them out before they touch the base, or you have to catch the ball that they kick before they touch the base. So Kenya feels like she may be a target because a lot of the girls are going to want to hit her with the ball. Now, they end up picking teams, okay? And Kenya picks Shay, Mal, and Barbie, and then Kandi picks Shamia, Cynthia, and Portia was picked last, unfortunately. I don't know why they picked Portia last. I think she can play well. And then Marlo ends up coming, okay? Marlo comes with a friend. And surprisingly, Kenya ends up picking Marlo. Marlo definitely didn't want to be on Kenya's team, but I do give Marlo props for the way that she behaved when it came to this kickball event, because although she does not like Kenya, and I know she didn't want to be on Kenya's team, she did not make a scene about it. She was a team player, and she ended up playing the game anyway. Now, Shamia kicks the ball. She does a good job, and she kept dancing every time she got to the base, though. And it's like, girl, you probably could have, gotten a home run had you wouldn't have stopped to dance on the base. Now, Portia did well, too, okay? She didn't do too bad, but Kandi got hit, okay? Kenya took that ball and threw it at Kandi. Kandi got hit before she even went halfway close to the base. Now, Kenya does well and gets a home run, okay? Kenya's team literally kept getting home runs. They demolished Kandi's team. There wasn't one time where they just was sitting on the base waiting for somebody else to kick the ball so that they can go home. No, they all got home runs, and they ended up winning the game 10-3. So Kenya's team won 10-3. Kenya's competitive, Candy's competitive, so I'm interested to see if they do any more competitions between the two of them this season, because I thought that this event was really fun of them to do. So there was a reason why Candy and Kenya did this kickball event. It was to see if the girls could come together, be on teams with one another, and not make a scene because they didn't want to be on each other's team. They wanted to see if they could have an event like kickball and not have any type of drama. And so because the girls did so good, they decided to tell the ladies that they had set up a trip to go to Athens, Greece. And all the ladies are excited to go to Greece. I'm excited to see what's going to happen on this trip because the girls' trip usually is the most interesting part of the season. Now, Eva cannot go on the trip because she is too far into her pregnancy, and for the safety of her and her baby, once you hit a certain point in your pregnancy, you can no longer travel, and so she cannot go. But she makes a point to let the ladies know, like, everyone wasn't there at the kickball event, so what about everybody else? Is everybody else invited? And she meant Tanya and Nene because those were the two who were not there. And Candy said that she's going to be the one who sends out the invites because she knows that if they think that it's Kenya's event, they're not going to end up showing up to it, just like they didn't show up to the kickball event. Now, I don't think that Nene will want to go. I think it's going to be hard for her to make the decision to go. I do think that ultimately she's going to end up showing up, but I think that she's going to, contemplate whether or not she should because Kenya's going to be there. But I think Tanya will go, right away just because I don't think she cares too much about what Kenya has to say. So I'm interested to see what happens with that whole thing in the next episode. So Kenya and Mark end up going out to baby swimming lessons with their daughter. She's so cute. She looked like she was having so much fun playing in the water. I think that everyone should get their baby swimming lessons, especially while they're as small as that, because it's easier for the child to learn how to swim that way. And it's a good bonding experience for the child and their parents to do together. Now, Kenya was saying that she wants to figure out their living situation because he lives primarily in New York and she lives primarily in Atlanta. And she was also saying that she's happy that he is doing his charity event in Atlanta because it makes her feel like he's willing to move his life to Atlanta instead of New York. And so I don't think that that's going to happen, though. I think she needs to let that go. I don't think that he plans on leaving New York anytime soon, especially not to be closer to Kenya because he acts like he can't stand being around her. Now, they talk about how they're doing a couples night, okay? A bowling night with the couples. And they talk about, Todd coming because Todd's definitely going to come. And Mark and Todd get along with each other. They're both from New York. And the last time that Mark came to Atlanta, him and Todd hung out all night long, stayed out until 6 a.m. And I feel like Kenya should be questioning what Mark was doing because he made a comment like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, which would be what happens in Atlanta stays in Atlanta. So I feel like he may have done some shit behind Kenya's back. And I feel like Candy should probably keep an eye on Todd too, just because you never know. Now he brings up Greg and says that, him and Greg have been talking with each other and he wants Greg to go to his charity event. And, Kenya clearly is uncomfortable with Nene being anywhere around her. She knows that if Greg comes, Nene's going to have to come with him. And so she was telling him that she doesn't really want them to come, but that she's okay with Greg coming. She's just not okay with Nene coming because of all the altercations the two of them have been getting into, especially the last one that they had in Toronto where they were literally getting ready to fight. She said that at this point in time, she just doesn't feel comfortable around Nene. And he was saying that people point in each other's face all the time and that doesn't mean that they want to fight. And it's odd to me that he never takes Kenya's side. That is his wife and he never defends her, not even just to do it in front of the cameras. He doesn't. He just doesn't even give a damn. He's taking Nene's side over his own wife's side, and that's weird to me. It really, really is weird. So it's couples night, okay? And I was very surprised to see Mark and Kenya hold hands on the way into the bowling alley. Although if you look at the way they were holding hands, it was really uptight and really friggin' cringeworthy. The dynamic between the two of them is so friggin' weird that I'm almost embarrassed to watch the two of them together. Now, Kenya was joking that she wanted some alone time with him when they got home and to sneak into the house without waking up the baby so that they can get some freaky time with each other. And he seemed like he was completely uninterested in it, and I think she needs to stop even trying with him because at this point it's embarrassing. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a whole other woman out there in New York that he's dealing with on a regular basis because he seems like he completely just does not want Kenya at all, which I don't understand the point of him even marrying her if he's not interested in her. Now, Portia and Dennis end up arriving first, and then Eva and Cynthia show up together because the two of them, both of their guys are out of town, so they showed up together as dates. Candy and Todd also ended up showing up, and Todd was obviously happy to see Mark. Mark was happy to see Todd because the two of them probably be out all night long, creeping with each other out in Atlanta on their wives. Okay, so they tell Eva that she can't bowl because she's pregnant, and she seemed like she wasn't happy about it. But I can understand the concerns. Although I have seen pregnant women bowl before, the floor is really slippery in there, and also the balls are really heavy. So I can understand why they did not want her to risk it and go ahead and bowl. But like I said before, she did not look happy about that. Now, Portia was being a little bit messy at this bowling event. Just in my opinion, I felt like she was being messy because she asked where Nene, Marlo, and Tanya were. And she knows that Kenya was the one who hosted the couples night. And she knew that she doesn't get along with those ladies. So why would she expect them to come? So, Kenya was saying, she didn't invite them. Well, that she did invite Tanya. But because Tanya didn't have Paul come, that's the reason why she told Tanya that she could not come. She was very adamant that if she couldn't bring Paul with her, that she couldn't show up, which was odd to me because Cynthia and Eva ended up showing up together without their guys. So, obviously, Kenya was being petty with that because she has a problem with Tanya. I don't think what Tanya did was that big of a deal, pulling out the wig, but I can understand why Kenya would be bothered by it because it could affect her hair care line, and also she pulled it out in front of Marlo, who, Kenya doesn't get along with. But I do feel like Kenya crossed the line when it came to Tanya. When she invited that cookie lady to meet with Tanya, I thought that was wrong. She ambushed her with that lady, and then I think it was wrong for her to call her the C word. That was going a bit too far. We know that Kenya could be very petty, and sometimes I'm here for the pettiness, but she needs to ultimately learn to, understand where she's wrong at. So basically, Mark throws Kenya under the bus because she was saying that, they decided on who to invite. And he was basically saying that he invited everyone to come, which put Kenya on the spot because now everybody knows that Kenya is actually the one who didn't want the three ladies that she didn't invite to show up, which Portia was saying, Dennis would never do that to her. He would never throw her under the bus. If she didn't like somebody, he wouldn't like the person, and, vice versa, which is the way it's supposed to be. You guys are married. You guys are supposed to have each other's back. And, Mark clearly doesn't know how to do that. And if he does know how to do it, it's just because he doesn't like Kenya. And that's the reason why he's not doing it when it comes to her. The ladies were talking separate from the men and also separate from Kenya too for a moment, joking about the way that Kenya acts when it comes to Mark. She acts completely different. She just sits there and shuts her mouth. And just agrees with everything when it comes to Mark. And they were laughing and joking about that, which I don't think is funny. I didn't like the way that particularly Candy and Portia handled the situation with Kenya and Mark in this particular scene. And Kenya ended up going over there to see what the ladies were talking about. And, Portia tells Kenya that she should have let Tanya come, even if Paul wasn't going to be able to come with her. And she felt like, Kenya was being petty with that whole situation, which Kenya obviously was being petty with that situation. And Portia basically tries to check Kenya for calling Tanya the C word, which Kenya was wrong for calling Tanya the C word. But I felt like Portia needed to mind her business. She has her own life to worry about and worry about what Dennis is out here doing behind her back, making her look like a fool. That's all over the blogs. Instead of worrying about Kenya and Tanya's petty little drama with each other, which Kenya does tell Portia that she needs to stay out of it. Mark basically lets everyone know at the couples event that the reason why they threw the event was for him to get familiar with everybody and everybody to get to know him because he is throwing a charity event and he wants all of them to show up. Now, he said that he invited Greg and that Greg is definitely coming, and Candy tells Kenya in front of everybody that if, Greg is supposed to be coming, that it's best for Kenya to reach out to Nene. And what I'm going to say is I don't really like the way that Portia and Candy handled Kenya in this particular situation because Mark was there. You guys all see the way that he talks to her, the way that he is towards her, and how stern he is with her, that it's odd to me that when you see him behaving that way, that you guys would keep badgering her in front of Mark. Why wouldn't you pull Kenya aside and talk to her about, getting in contact with Nene rather than doing that in front of Mark? Because Mark kind of seemed like he was getting mad at Kenya. He seemed like he was getting embarrassed at Kenya because everybody was coming at her, and he starts calling her Ken and telling her to settle down and shit like that. And it's like, usually couples don't have to do that in public in front of people. If you feel like your partner is doing a bit too much, you kind of just give them a look from across the room. But I don't think that him yelling Ken in the friggin' bowling alley was the best way to go about that. And so, you know, Portia and Candy kept going on and on to Kenya about not tagging Nene in that post on Instagram, which Portia should not be talking, because Portia didn't even want to go to Nene's brunch that she had in the previous episode. She didn't even want anything to do with Nene when they went on that Toronto trip. So I honestly don't feel like she's the one to be caping for Nene and telling Kenya that she needs to reach out to her. Although I do think that the beef between Kenya and Nene is petty. They're going to be involved in the same group because they're both on the same show. They do not have to be friends, but they should be able to be in the same room with each other without it being so much tension. You know, as Mark got more and more mad at Kenya, and they can hear his voice raising even more and how stern he was getting with her, they was saying that, you know, they'll probably handle that situation at home. And they were joking about it. I don't know if they were, you know, laughing and giggling about it just because they didn't know how to react to it, or if they really honestly thought it was funny. But to me, it's not funny whether you like Kenya or not. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors with the two of them, so you probably shouldn't be laughing about the way that he speaks to her. Now, Greg and Nene actually end up showing up, and Mark hugs both Greg and Nene, which I thought that it was petty of him to hug Nene knowing that his wife does not like her. I don't think that that was right, and that shows that he has zero respect for his wife, and it shows that, you know, clearly they just don't respect each other in general, and that relationship clearly needs to end, because everyone thought it was odd the way that he was really friendly with Nene like that. Now, Nene greeted Kenya. She tried to give Kenya a hug, but, you know, Kenya was trying to be friendly to Nene, but she was doing it in a very passive way. She wouldn't hug Nene. She wouldn't really acknowledge that Nene was there, which I felt like, you know, Kenya was being a little bit petty. I felt like, you know, her and Nene need to have a talk separate from the group, because I feel like the more they do things in front of everybody, the more they're not going to be able to talk without some type of drama going on. So hopefully at some point the two of them are able to talk and admit both their parts and why their relationship is the way that it is, and they can agree just not to be friends and not to mess with each other. But obviously, for sake of drama on the show, that's not going to happen. Now, Greg says that he's not going if Nene isn't going to Mark's charity event. And so he says that Nene's invited, but Greg is adamant that Nene was not invited, because when Kenya made that post on Instagram, she tagged everybody but Nene in it. Now, Mark says that the drama is irrelevant, and he said that he does not want to divide a couple and that he would never do something like that. And he said, you know, Kenya agrees and we want both of you to show up. So he basically spoke for Kenya, knowing that Kenya did not want Nene coming. And, you know, Kenya just agreed, because I think she knows that she's not going to win an argument with Mark. So she decided just not to argue with him, and she completely submitted, which I don't think it's wrong to be submissive to the person you're with. I think you should be in certain situations, but the way that he was going about it, I think he went about it the wrong way, especially with somebody that his wife has issues with, that he wasn't even around for all their problems that they have with each other. Now, Nene was telling Kenya, you know, that she doesn't have a problem with her, and Kenya kind of dismissed her, which I thought was, you know, I thought that that was petty of Kenya to do, because if the woman's telling you she doesn't have any problems with you, that doesn't mean, oh, let's be friends with each other. It just means that we can exist in the same space and not cross one another. So I did think that it was petty that Kenya was not trying to deal with it. Now, Nene says that she loves Kenya as Ken, because she sits down and be quiet when it comes to being Ken, because Mark makes sure that she's in check. Now, the ladies joke that Mark doesn't know how Kenya is when he's not around, because when she's with him, she's an angel, and when she's with the ladies, she's completely opposite of that, which is true, but it's because she can't act like that around Mark, because he's not going to tolerate that. And, you know, they talk about how they're scared of Mark and that he's stern like a principal, so they feel like they're in trouble whenever he speaks. And so the fact that they laughed and joked about that, I just really didn't think that that was funny. I thought the ladies weren't, you know, I just don't like the way that they handled that situation. I could be wrong. Maybe you guys see it a different way, but I just think that the ladies handled that situation wrong. So the episode cut there. I don't know if I can handle any more scenes of Kenya and Mark together, because clearly he does not want her, and clearly she knows that he does not want her, and she's trying to fight for that relationship, which I know they have a child together, but that baby's going to be able to sense the tension between the two of them, because he doesn't even pretend like he's cool with her. It's like he tries to, but it's not really working. And the fact that he did not have his wife's back, especially in front of the group like that, like he literally threw her under the bus in front of everybody. And so I really didn't like that. And like I said before, I don't like the way that Kandi and Portia handled the situation. I felt like they should have pulled Kenya aside about her talking to Nene and not do it in front of Mark when Mark was already agitated at Kenya and was already, you know, throwing her under the bus and stuff and getting aggravated with her to the point where he was yelling Ken at her in front of everybody. I honestly think that they handled that wrong, but the episode cut there. I thought it was a pretty good episode. I'm interested to see what happens at Mark's charity event in the next episode. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button for me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos. And thanks to all my subscribers for the support. I am getting closer and closer to reaching my goal every day. And I want to thank you all for that. And until next time, I will see you guys in my next video.